The Force, everyone talks about it like it's magic, destiny, some invisible good that guides the galaxy. But look a little closer and you'll see it's not mercy that moves the stars. It's sacrifice. Every time someone reaches out to the Force, it takes something back. Qui-Gon discovers life beyond death by dying. Anakin saves a life by destroying his own. Luke redeems his father, but loses everything else that made him one. The balance never comes cheap. It's almost cruel when you think about it. The Force gives visions, power, purpose, but always with a catch. It's a wish granted by a genie that demands blood instead of gold. And no matter how good the reason, no one walks away unscarred. The Jedi call it destiny, the Sith call it strength. But both sides end up paying the same toll. The galaxy keeps spinning on the weight of what's been given up. Masters, lovers, children, and hope itself. That's why every Star Wars story feels like a tragedy wearing a hero's smile. The light shines only because someone burns to keep it lit. The Force doesn't bless anyone, it bargains with them. In this video, we're exploring how every great act of power in Star Wars, from Anakin's fall to Rey's final stand, proves one simple truth. The Force always demands balance, and the Force always demands a sacrifice. The Force is often described as mystical, benevolent, and balanced. But if you actually look at Star Wars, it behaves less like a gift and more like a contract. Every time someone taps into its power, something of equal value is taken away. It's not generosity, it's transaction. The Force gives light, but it demands shadow in return. Qui-Gon Jinn is the perfect example of this trade. He dedicates his life to understanding the living Force, discovering truths that other Jedi ignore, but his enlightenment comes at the cost of his life. He sees further than any Jedi before him, but dies before he can share it. That's not coincidence, it's the Force balancing the scales. For every insight, there's a toll. Anakin's story turns that principle into tragedy. He begs the Force to save the people he loves, but his desperation warps it. He uses the dark side to prevent Padmé's death, and in doing so, becomes the reason she dies. The Force grants his request in the most cruelly ironic way imaginable. It saves her from pain by ending her life and binds him in endless torment. Even Palpatine, who seems to manipulate the Force for his own benefit, isn't exempt. His mastery of power isolates him completely. The galaxy bends to his will, but he lives surrounded by paranoia and emptiness. For all his control, he can't escape the loneliness that comes from consuming everything around him. The Force may tolerate domination for a time, but it always collects interest. Luke's triumph follows the same law. He redeems his father and defeats evil without striking it down, but the cost is enormous. His compassion ends the Empire, yet it ends the Jedi too. He becomes a symbol of hope while carrying the guilt of being the last. That's the cruel truth of balance. The light survives, but not without loss. Obi-Wan's life is another kind of sacrifice. He spends decades protecting Luke, never taking credit, never living for himself. His death at Vader's blade isn't tragedy, it's fulfillment. The Force demands that he give up his form so Luke can carry the torch. His victory isn't in survival, it's in surrender. Ahsoka's sacrifice is quieter, but equally devastating. She gains freedom from the Jedi Order, but that freedom isolates her from everything she loved. The Force gives her independence, but takes away belonging. She becomes the ultimate wanderer, a student without a temple, a hero without a home. Even the clones, unknowingly tied to the Force through destiny, pay a similar price. They fight with loyalty and courage, believing in their cause, only to become tools of betrayal. Their obedience becomes their curse. They serve the light and destroy it at the same time. When you look at the saga through this lens, the pattern becomes clear. The Force isn't a moral judge, it's a cosmic accountant. For every miracle, a tragedy. For every life saved, a life lost. Balance isn't peace, it's repayment. And the cruelest part is that no one escapes it, not even those who serve it faithfully. The Force gives freely, but only if you can afford the cost. People like to think of balance as harmony, but in Star Wars, balance is violence disguised as order. The Force doesn't restore peace, it redistributes suffering. It doesn't punish evil or reward good, it ensures that no side holds power for too long. The Jedi misunderstood this completely, and that misunderstanding destroyed them. The Jedi believed detachment would keep them pure, but it only made their fall harder. They tried to control the Force instead of respecting its rhythm. Yoda preached serenity, but serenity turned into stagnation. The more they clung to peace, the more chaos they invited. The Force demanded change, and the Jedi refused to give it, so it took everything instead. Anakin's downfall wasn't corruption, it was correction. The Force didn't make him evil, it used him as an instrument of rebalancing. The Jedi were too rigid, the Sith too selfish, and Anakin's rise obliterated both extremes. That's the terrifying beauty of it. The Force doesn't care who wins, it only cares that the scales even out. When Luke restores hope, that balance swings again. The dark side retreats, but the light grows unchecked. So the galaxy resets itself with new shadows. The First Order isn't a coincidence, it's the reaction to imbalance. The Force fills the void left by the Empire's fall, like gravity pulling debris into shape again. Even Rey and Kylo Ren embody this tug of war. Rey, born from nothing, becomes the beacon of light. Kylo, born from heroes, becomes its counterweight. Their entire existence proves the Force doesn't end conflict, it maintains it. The two halves are forever orbiting, never merging. Their connection is beautiful, but it's built on inevitability. Ahsoka learns this the hard way too. She tries to walk the line between light and dark, between Jedi and rogue. But even she isn't safe. The more balance she seeks, the lonelier she becomes. Because balance doesn't mean peace, it means equal solitude on both sides. Even the planets themselves mirror this law. Naboo's lush paradise gives birth to the Emperor. Tatooine's wasteland produces the saviour of the galaxy. Mortis, the literal embodiment of balance, consumes everyone who visits it. Star Wars uses environments to remind us that equilibrium isn't comfort, it's contradiction. And maybe that's why the galaxy keeps breaking. Every time someone tries to fix it, they throw it out of rhythm. The Jedi end war by starting one. The Sith end weakness by creating monsters. The Force corrects them all with the same ruthless precision. It gives the galaxy what it needs, not what it wants. The price of balance is pain, and no matter how noble the cause or how pure the heart, the Force makes sure that cost is paid in full. That's not cruelty, it's design. Because without sacrifice there's no growth. Without loss there's no lesson. The Force demands equilibrium because it knows peace without consequence is just another illusion. What makes Star Wars timeless isn't its triumphs, it's its sacrifices. Every victory feels earned because it hurts. The Force doesn't let anyone win for free, and that's what gives its stories weight. Power isn't about what you gain, it's about what you're willing to give up. Qui-Gon loses his life but gains immortality through the living Force. His death teaches Yoda to listen, not lead. And that wisdom shapes the path for Luke and Rey decades later. One death ripples through time like a whisper that never fades. That's the beauty of sacrifice. It's loss that still gives. Obi-Wan's story follows that same rhythm. He loses everything, his friends, his order, his faith, but becomes the protector of destiny. When he lets Vader strike him down, it's not defeat, it's transcendence. The Force doesn't reward him with survival, it rewards him with purpose beyond death. He becomes what the Jedi were always meant to be, guides, not warriors. Luke's sacrifice is quieter, but just as powerful. His life fades not in battle, but in peace. The man who once craved adventure dies alone, watching the sunset one last time. His death restores hope to the galaxy he failed to save. The Force takes his life but gives the galaxy a myth. Even Leia pays her share. She carries the rebellion through decades of disappointment, losing her son, her brother, and her peace. Yet her final act, reaching out to Ben, redeems him through love rather than power. The Force takes her breath and gives it to another. That's balance at its most heartbreaking. And then there's Rey, the girl who inherits every legacy and burden at once. She gives everything, her power, her lineage, her future, to heal the galaxy one last time. The Force demands her life for its renewal. And in that moment, it isn't cruel. It's poetic. The story ends where it began, with one life traded for another sunrise. Even the lesser-known sacrifices matter. Kanan, in Rebels, gives his life to save his family. Jyn Erso dies proving the truth can survive lies. The clones sacrifice identity for duty. Each of them reinforces the same unspoken law. The Force rewards selflessness, but it never spares the self. That's what makes the Star Wars universe feel alive. Every act of heroism comes with a shadow. Every use of power has a cost. And yet, no one stops trying. Because somewhere in the tragedy, the galaxy finds renewal. In the end, the Force isn't cruel. It's honest. It doesn't care for comfort, only for equilibrium. It demands sacrifice not as punishment, but as proof that light still means something. Because if power came without loss, the galaxy wouldn't be worth saving at all.
Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that share button. My main channel is Critical Analysis Hub, where I post Star Wars content about the movies. My secondary channel is Critical Analysis Hub Plus, where I focus on the shows of Star Wars. And my third channel is Critical Analysis Hub XP, where I post comic books. Be sure to take a moment and check them out. Thanks, and may the Force be with you.